Okay, guys, today I'm going to be reviewing You Season 3. Yes, the best show that I've seen in a long time. This is going to be a really good review slash podcast, and a lot of people might be saying, oh, this somewhat deviates from what you usually post, and to them I say, okay, and basically this is something that nobody has requested me to do. This is completely unwarranted, unconsented, but okay. Now, I will break down bar by bar, episode by episode, what goes on. And so, for the backstory, for me personally, I have been watching this from the beginning, ever since like 2 years ago with the most recent season. Well, sorry, the first one. And again, the plot is awesome. This started on Lifetime, so you might think, oh, it's a Showtime or a Lifetime series. It can't be any good. No, that's the exact opposite. Those movies are good. And second of all, the cast is good, and so I'm going to be very briefly going over season 1 and 2. So for the first season, this guy on the left here, Penn Badgley, or the actor for Will Bellingham, I think is his name, or something kind of Jewish. Anyway, the point is that he goes in and he kind of sees this blonde girl and he gets infatuated with her, right? Guinevere Beck. She's very pretty, at least in my opinion. Some people think she's overrated. Well, they're stupid. And basically, she's cute. And over a large set of episodes, we are having him, use a kid to his own advantage, kind of like making him do errands for him, decomposing bodies, getting rid of bodies, killing people, stalking the blonde girl, manipulating her, fucking her, all that stuff. And it's like pretty interesting and overall very cool. And he locks people in his basement, and that's a common motif or thing that is referenced over and over again. And then the first season ends basically with the girl of his dreams, and it doesn't work out. She's more or less killed off, plot wise. I don't remember if he killed her, but more or less she's gone from the picture forever. Then the second season, he's in LA. He was in New York the first season. He moved to LA and starts a new life, so-called. He changes his name, I believe, to Joe Goldberg, and he captures the normal one, the actual Joe Goldberg, the guy he stole the identity from, and locks him up in a storage facility in another, saw trap, I guess, like the cage, from the first season. And he basically gets him in there, and you might think, oh, that's kind of ridiculous, right, that he would do that. But he kind of does that because he doesn't want to kill him, and he wants to get information from him, which is fine, I suppose. And while he's doing that, he realizes something, and that is that he normally would kill a lot of people, but he's getting different pangs of, okay, well, should I kill this person? Should I not? There's a lot of morality questions, and even though he's a sociopath and all that, it's still kind of cool that he's a little bit more nuanced with how he's evil. And another thing he runs into is this girl, the one that you see on the right. So Love Quinn, which is a stupid name, I get that. He goes ahead and falls in love with their so-called love at first sight, which is bullshit. But let's go ahead and believe it for a second here. And he goes ahead and they both like each other, and it gets very confusing. I saw this like 2 years ago. Okay, so don't get mad at me. But basically, they get together. Her twin brother dies, which is relevant somehow, and they both move to the suburbs, and that's where the third season begins. And I can actually get to the point of what I was making this video for, which is ultimately the third season. Now, the third season starts off pretty interestingly enough, because basically she's pregnant with this kid. Now the point is that his kid is supposed to be a girl. I don't know why he cares if it's a girl, but whatever. I mean, we all want a boy, right? So I think it's kind of weird. Anyways, he goes ahead and he's like, oh shit, it's a boy, and he pretends to care, and I'm like, okay, well, why? Anyways, he gets meant that it's a boy and not a girl, and then he has to deal with okay, I was raised bad as a boy, so how am I gonna compensate? So he goes ahead and he takes care of the kid, and the kid doesn't like him. The kid cries all the time, so it seems like the mom, so Love Quinn, is the only one that's competent in taking care of him. And I guess they have his name for whatever reason is Henry. No, what is it? Henry 40 Goldberg, which is stupid, right? Like 40 is a dumb nickname for the twin brother. Anyway, they go ahead and move to the suburbs with the newborn, and the newborn is not that relevant to the story, believe it or not. And then we have them move into a nice suburb in San Francisco, in that general area, and it's very, very cool, like very expensive house. I think it's like over $500,000 probably, given how expensive things are over there. And they have a really clean house. You can tell that it's a show, because a white woman would not clean that well. And we normally see take care of the kid, and right off the bat, Joe gets infatuated with this girl. What's that girl? Well, it's Natalie, right? Natalie's this 45-year-old looking 32-year-old, which is bullshit. The actress is 38, and they go ahead and so basically, she wants his attention, he wants her attention, because Joe is getting bored of the first girl, because obviously he's kind of like a dog chasing an ambulance, and he gets bored once he catches it, right? Hypothetically. That being said, the family life is gay and monotonous, which is understandable. So then he goes and tries to go for an affair with the blonde girl, with Natalie, right? But it doesn't work out. Why doesn't it work out? Because basically what happens there is that he's like, oh, I can't cheat on my wife because he's a pussy. So then he goes back. She can tell anyways that something's going on, right? So then we go ahead and move on to the happenings of what I'm gonna say next. Okay, hold on. Okay, anyways, so let me unpause. So basically, he is about to start the affair with Natalie, right? The other bitch gets jealous, right? So Love Quinn, the one on the right of your screen, gets mad and has a bunch of other problems, right? So for example, it's been 7 months since the last season. So they've had the newborn for a little bit, and he's getting bored, of course. And the next thing I'm going to mention is that, what was it? Yeah, is that he notices the Natalie chick, right? And she ends up getting killed in the basement, I believe, of the bakery that Quinn was going to be looking into. And she wants a bakery because, of course, she's getting bored. And what do white feminist women care about? Oh, business. Taking care of my kid? No, that's boring. That's beneath me. No, I need to run a bakery nobody cares about. So she goes ahead and tries to get the lease from the realtor. The realtor, being Natalie, she gets a fucking axe to her neck. And that's pretty unfortunate. And I'm skipping over a lot of parts that I find quite unsavory, and I'll just mention it real quick. So Will is weird, right? So Joe Goldberg, sorry, wrong name, and he goes ahead and goes to a grocery store to stock Natalie, right, or wherever, and then he's choking his chicken, if you know what I mean, to Natalie. I suppose she walks up on him. He covers up before the act. He gets away with it, and she gives him condoms and something else. And you might think, what the fuck is that? And it's obvious flirting. Anyways, he stalks her into a library, and in the library, he notices that she's in there, and they're flirting back, which is pretty obvious that they both have a thing for each other. And what I find interesting is that normally this wouldn't happen. And why? Well, Natalie's like out of his league, and even if you think they're on the same level, why would she be that open of a whore? I mean, it's kind of sus, especially for a mom. It's, again, sus. This would not happen in real life, okay? That is not black-pilled enough. Anyways, we get some side characters added into this episode as well, including the black girl. I think her name is Sherry. Then there's the husband, Carrie. Then we have a gay guy in there for no reason, and other friends that are annoying. And it adds to the whole complex of them, of Love Quinn and all these other people fitting in with each other, with the cutthroat white people. And the white people are very fake. And the black girl, the lead of the white people, believe it or not, just, again, very fake, vain, and hollow. Just like women are in general. But not to be too misogynistic, but I got to be open here and say, like, I'm seeing a lot of commonalities with you and society in general, which is why the show is good. It's kind of relatable in a way that's not very obvious. Now, what I will say is that, so basically, Natalie invites Joe to a, what was it? It was the pool, right? And they're drinking wine, and they're outside in the pool area where there's no camera. And it brings in a good point, which is that the tech husband of Natalie has cameras all over the house and can see her all the time, besides the pool one because it's broken. And I think that's a very interesting point, that despite her having money, a husband that cares about her, a kid, whatever, and a good societal status among a lot of people in the town, she's still not satisfied because she's evil and she's a selfish bitch. But the show doesn't play it that way. It's like, oh, the monotony, I'm caged in, oh, poor thing. Shut the fuck up, bitch. Anyways, they start making out, right, Joe and Natalie, and you might think, okay, well, is he gonna bone? And he gets the option to. He rejects it because he's dumb, I guess. And he eventually goes back to his wife. He fucks the wife, right, with the other girl's panties in his hand, which is weird. And she doesn't notice that immediately. And they go ahead and fight over, oh, I think you had an affair with me. And you might think, like, why didn't she bring that up earlier? And it's like, well, because she's dumb, and the plot wants it to be that way. And they go to a party, and they realize later that night that they all hate each other. And by what I mean is, like, the women all have gossip over each other, not so much the men. And obviously that's how it works in real life, and I think that's interesting, the dynamic that plays through. The new money, the old money, so-and-so went to this school, so-and-so is cheating with this person, so-and-so is hiding this addiction. I find that very cool. Most people fail to mention that. Anyways, so the rumor goes around that Natalie's a whore, which is true. And basically that plays with the psyche of Love Quinn, right? The girl, because it's like, okay, well, that's going to be a problem for Joe because she's going to be next door and she's going to be easy. And any guy would probably go for that as well. So I think that's a pretty good point to make. Ultimately, really pull ahead to the next episode because I don't want to keep talking about the same one for this long. And we move on to Love Quinn finding a box of possessions that he has over the fantasy of Natalie, right? So her panties, like blood covered cloth, a bunch of other shit that's like really creepy. And if you remember the box from season 1, he had a box full of Beck's shit as well, like teeth and stuff, I think, or like hair. And so he's obsessing over another girl. And so you're seeing a pattern here where he's going from one girl, obsessing over another one, then obsessing over another one, and then another. So you might think, oh, wow, so he's going to keep doing this forever. And it's, yep, pretty much. And so he goes ahead and has to put away the body, the axe kill. Remember, she gets axed in the neck, right? So Natalie's just limp there, lifeless, on the floor of the bakery basement. And Joe has to get rid of the body, which is important because obviously this is a very well-connected, social media-laden town. So they're going to know when the pretty white lady's missing, right? And a lot of people might think, oh, shit, the title of the episode is Missing White Women Syndrome. This must mean that it's leftist. And it's like, well, it's true, though. When a pretty white woman that's middle class goes missing, it's a big deal. And it unironically is. Okay, Shaniqua got lost at the KFC. Like, who really gives a shit, honestly? And, black teenagers go missing in Baltimore. I wonder what that means. Seriously. So, the missing white woman syndrome is true. Now, the left might be like, I feel, Indian women get robbed, indigenous women are kidnapped and nobody cares. Yes, nobody fucking cares. Who cares, bro? I don't care. I care when a white woman goes missing, unironically, and when a minority goes missing, I care less. I'm going to be open about that, and I'm not even white. It's just because the white women get robbed for more interesting reasons. Black women get robbed, and nobody cares. Why? Because they get robbed a lot more common. Indians are robbed more common as well, but nobody cares. They just pretend to care. So instead of caring about, the left is using, white women things and hating on white women are awful, first of all. Second of all, when we're talking about the left is obviously cringe and gay, and they're wrong, but some of their stuff is catchy and is correct, okay? So, for example, the missing white women thing is completely real, but it's valid. It's okay. Like, for example, a lot of people say, not being attracted to black people, that's racist. And a lot of Republicans would be like, that's not racist, it's a preference. Me, I'll say, you know what? It is racist, but it's okay. So, get over it. What are you, black? Okay, you're not? Who cares? Big loss. Whew, don't care. Anyways, we move on to episode 2, 3, whatever. And we're having yet another get-together, a party, for one of the kids going into preschool or something. I don't care. The point is that it shows there how they helicopter parent their children and how they control like their blood sugar and all that garbage. And it, again, reinforces that all these people are tight-knit. They would notice as soon as somebody goes missing. And it's very worrying to the people that are going ahead and killing people, such as the couple that you see on the screen right now. So you might think, wow, you is being very woke. Whatever. I don't care. We're going to keep moving on. And we move on to couples therapy. Couples therapy. Who cares about couples therapy? Well, it's interesting because they talk about their problems of killing people, but like skirting around it. So instead of saying, oh, I killed Natalie, it's, oh, I broke a vase that was irreplaceable, which is hilarious. And you get a little bit of more added perspective over their love life and all that. And I think that's fairly interesting. Now, moving on, they start furnishing the basement cage. And what I find interesting is that it cuts to Joe hiding a key in the basement. And it goes to show that he doesn't trust his wife because he doesn't want to get caught in the cage without a key. Then the wife doesn't trust Joe because she also puts her own key without knowing that he put a key in there as well, which is very interesting. Anyways, by the second episode, we are already adding the dynamic of Theo, who's a 19-year-old stepson of he's basically like more or less the kid of Natalie and Matthew, the husband, the tech guy, and he has an affair with Love Quinn. Okay, so fair enough, right? So Joe's gonna have his own affair, and then the girl's gonna have her affair. Both of them are selfish, given to their lust and their obsession and their boredom, and cannot take monotony, even if it's good for them. And so they go ahead and act on their impulses in a way that's very destructive, and they go ahead and get in a lot of trouble, kill people really, because of their impulses. This is a key point. You will notice. Anyways, we move on and we add more lore to the library that Joe went in the first episode. That episode, 3 that is where we get the side character Dante, who's a homosexual blind guy. Yes, that's a real thing. Anyway, we get introduced to Marianne, who's his boss because he works there now. And she's like a black lady who is supposed to be good looking. Again, I'm not into black women, so I just don't care. And honestly, it's an eyesore. But anyway, yeah, she has no fucking hair too. It's like very short. It's disgusting. And I don't know why he finds her attractive. Yeah, no, this is one instance of Joe being suspect. There's more instances where it's like, dude, what's going on with your sexuality, man? But yeah, anyways, we get Theo trying to hit on Love Quinn, very obviously, and she falls for it, of course, because women want attention, and he gives her that. And yeah, I mean, it's normal for him to simp for a girl, and that goes and it progresses. And as we move forward, we add more layers to the whole plot where he's trying to bury Natalie because obviously she has a GPS ring somehow. I don't know how that's even a real technology. I think that's a bullshit line. But anyways, that GPS shows where she is, and basically the husband can figure out where she is at all times, so they can trace the body and find out that it was Joe that killed her, or that hid the body. So they have to separate the ring. They have to chop her hand off. Like, it's a very messy. So they have to rebury and all that, and it's a complete mess. And ultimately, it confuses everything. And Matthew's going crazy, and then there's a whole like, oh, will you talk to the news? And then the news thinks he's guilty, and it's very complicated. And what's interesting is that by the time you're in the 10th episode, you can give two shits about Natalie at that point. Like, there's so much that happens in the plot that you honestly don't care what happens earlier. So I think that's quite good about the show. So as I'm talking about these episodes, I barely remember these at all, and I literally saw episode 3 like 2 days ago. So it's very fucked. And ultimately, we move on, and I'm going to check if I'm still recording because I've gone for a long time. Okay, we're almost 18 minutes into the video. Anyways, eventually, it turns out that Henry, the little boy, right, the newborn infant for Joe and Quinn, has measles, and that's quite rare. But they get it because of a kid who was unvaccinated for the measles. So the parent, who in this case is called Jill or Gil, he basically is like a Mormon or something and doesn't want to get the kids vaccinated, which is good for him, I guess, depending on which one you're talking about. But the measles one is reasonable. Okay, I got that one. Anyway, so because of that, the little infant gets sick with the measles, and he gets very sick, and Joe gets sick a little bit. And basically, Love Quinn realizes that, and he goes ahead and apologizes for getting them sick. And then she's an impulsive bitch, which comes back more and more over the time of the show. And she more or less, maims him or wounds him, knocks him out, puts him in the cage in the basement. And of course, it's very interesting to see people locked up, right? How they act, how desperate they are. And then Joe has to fix that problem because, again, she puts him into more problems than he does into her. Okay, so get that in through your skull, through your numbskull. Okay, so we move on, and we have Jill locked up in there, and they have to make up an excuse for him to be like away from the family. So they try to dig up drama about him, which is interesting to me because ultimately it kind of shows that they're just astroturfing stuff in a selfish way, which establishes them as even more evil than normal. And so Joe has to go on this retreat with Carrie, I think the husband of the black lady, and a couple gay guys and other guys in general. And in there, they like embrace their masculinity, and he even like almost kills the blonde Chad, but he survives, and he's fine with that because Carrie's crazy. Anyway, I forgot to mention about the in-law, the Love Quinn's mom, she's like some wine mom grandma at this point who's crazy, and really just gives off Marianne Williamson vibes, if you understand that reference. Kind of niche. So that's very annoying. And then you move on to episode 6. Okay, so we're over halfway done with the season. Okay, I cannot stand this shit. And basically, if you look over there, we can see very clearly what's going on. Okay, so they have multiple different threats and loose ends they need to take care of. Okay, first of all, they have to overcome the investigation over Natalie missing. Second of all, they have to take care of Hill. Third, they have to circumnavigate a lot of issues with the other friends they have that are not as serious but still kind of important, you know, whether or not their kid gets into a good preschool based on how good their relationships are with these fake assholes. And keep in mind, yes, the people that are repugnant and gay and all that are cringe, but also Joe Goldberg and Love Quinn are also both satanic. You know, they murder several people and they're selfish and impulsive and are terrible for the society in general, okay? Anyways, the affair escalates with Love Quinn and Theo, of course. They start fucking once, and with that, the guy is completely enraptured with the girl, but Love Quinn is like a sociopath, so like she might feel love, maybe she doesn't. She's really evil in general. Anyways, the relationship between Joe Goldberg and the black girl escalates as he becomes infatuated with her, like a lot. And I feel this to be unrealistic. Like, I don't see how a guy could go from Guinevere Beck to Love Quinn to Candace to this black girl. I mean, this makes no sense. I feel like Netflix just wanted to add a diversity quota. I feel like, why would he be attracted to black women? I feel like it's forced down her throat. Okay? And if you're going to add a black chick, make it a black chick that's attractive. You know, like one of the 5 of them that are, like Beyonce or something, right? Like, you don't want this black lesbian looking lady. Gross. You might as well just get the girl from 50 Shades of Grey who's a 5 on a good day, okay? Just get some basic white bitch. Okay? Seriously. And it's already enough of a downgrade that we got Love Quinn, okay? Guinevere Beck was like an 8 or 9 out of 10, okay? She was fine. Then we have Love, who's like a 6. And then we move down to this black chick who's like a 3, dude. I really don't like black women. Anyways, we move on to more of the plot. We get introduced to the fact that the black chick has a kid. Not that that's that relevant, but basically it adds another subplot with her husband wanting custody of the kid because she's a junkie or whatever and is a bitch, of course. And the white husband is also a subtle drug addict as well and has a lot of other problems and doesn't take care of the kid. Now Joe hates the husband and he kills the husband. He does that for the elaborate plan, and get this, to run away with the black chick and abandon Love Quinn and take the baby with him, okay? Keep that in mind. Alright, anyway. We move on. He sabotages the guy, the ex-husband, a lot, and clearly that doesn't work out because he still ends up winning in the end in a large way, okay? Now, what we will foreshadow right now in the episode 8 is that Love Quinn is planting plants in the garden, right? Who cares, right? So keep that in mind. So in 5 minutes, you're going to be like, oh, wow, interesting. Anyways, there's on episode 8, there is the concept of swinging, right? Which is completely irrelevant, but still has to be brought up somehow. And for example, Carrie and the black chick, Sherry, I believe, propose swinging to Love Quinn and Joe. And you might think, well, who would take them up on that? That's weird. And they do take them up on that because they want to spice things up because they're both evil and selfish, right? So they go ahead and do that, but it doesn't work out as basically they're like getting into the motions and all that. And then Love Quinn has a mental breakdown, of course, because she has terrible emotional control sometimes. Then she screams out, "Oh, we killed Natalie," and all that. And they're on the bottom floor, and then in the second floor, they're like, okay, well, I wonder if they heard us, right? So they go up, and then they realize something, and that is that, oh my god, they heard us. And so they both, like all 4 of them, try to kill each other, right? And what happens is that they both wound, Joe and Quinn basically both wound Carrie and Sherry to the point where they're both down in the basement in the fucking saw cage again. and they're wounded, of course, and that adds a lot to the plot because, again, they're like on the top of their society. They have a lot of connections. They have a blog to keep up with their children, all that. Anyways, oh shit, whoops. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. They ask, Joe, are you interested in doing anything with Carrie? Are you open? And he's like, oh, I'll be open-minded. Like, what the fuck? Are you gay, nigga? Like, whoa. So sus part number 2. No, actually, it's sus number 3. Number 1 is, okay, so you're open to Carrie. You're open to swinging with a guy. That's kind of gay. Second thing, what was the second thing I said? I forgot already. Being attracted to the black bitch, like, ugh, come on, taste. Where's the taste at? Okay, so we move on. And again, so he shoots the blonde guy with a crossbow. It's kind of cool. With a normal bow, my bad. And the black girl, not as wounded. They're both in the basement in the cage, right? And it's very cool because they have to keep up appearances, and I think that's interesting. And they also learn a lot about the crimes of the couple. And I think that's interesting. And the marriage dynamic is important because they're both very fake and sociopathic, but they eventually break under the pressure, of course. Good. Now, we move on to episode 9, okay? And what we notice already is that there's another subplot, which is that the Matthew, right, that guy has to keep up with the other family members and basically stalks everybody, or at the very least looks at CCTV camera footage of every corner of the town and, knows everything about everyone and has inconclusive proof of them killing Natalie, which is key to know. Another subplot is that Joe obviously kills the ex-husband of the black chick, and now he has to cover that up as well without Love knowing, obviously, because she will get jealous of him killing people for other reasons that aren't her. And I think that's also important to note. Anyways, we move on. And there is so many reasons why I need to mention this again. Theo comes to the blonde girl, right, Love, and she's like, oh, I love you. You can run away with me. It's your husband. I believe you. You're innocent. And she almost falls for it. And she kicks him off, basically like, oh, yeah, I totally believe you and all that shit. And misleads him, right? And I think that's also interesting. Anyways, we move on. And, of course, the affair with the black girl is completely under effect by this point. And he wants to escape with her, right? With the kid as well. And he goes ahead and there's another plot that I forgot to mention, which is that Theo knows that his dad knows that it was either one of Quinn or Joe that killed Natalie, right? So this further complicates the entire story. And then we add in another dynamic, which is a gun to the saw cage. And the saw cage is important because, again, there's keys in there, but it's ironic because they have no idea that they're there and they don't even bother looking until the end, which is really stupid of them. But ultimately, they say, okay, you can shoot the other one and then the other one gets to leave, which is ridiculous because if you think about it, that's not going to happen. They're lying. But ultimately, Theo somehow gets into the cage, or not the cage. He gets into the general area down there and in the bakery, and he notices something, and that is that the two people are locked up in there. But and they tell him, I think they tell him that Quinn, Joe's the innocent one. Quinn, she's crazy. You have to free us from the cage. So he runs into Love Quinn coming out, and he's like, oh, I believe you. We can run away with each other still and all that bullshit, right? And they almost kiss, and it's like very heartfelt. They're crying and all that. And then as soon as he turns around, he gets hit with like a fire extinguisher to the head, right? And he gets basically stuck in the basement for a while. And so it kind of shows again, Love is an evil, evil lady. Okay, like, come on. That is so crazy. And they basically go ahead and go to extreme lengths to just, like, get each other. And I think that's kind of weird. So we move on. And Carrie and the other black chick, the black chick basically shoot each other by accident, sort of. And that, again, further, you can extrapolate what you want from there, but it kind of goes to show that they're both kind of stupid in their own ways. And so the Theo guy is still barely clinging on to life. Okay, he got hit in the head, but not dead yet. Okay, keep that in mind. Joe tells the black girl, oh, we're going to get away with this, me and my wife are getting separated, which is cap. He's basically going to leave Love, Quinn, what, like, unannounced, not telling her where he is and all that. Just gonna ditch her. So he's gonna pull a black dad, right? He's gonna escape, but ironically, he's gonna take the kid with him, I guess. Anyways, he goes ahead and through one way or another figures out that Love Quinn figured out that he's gonna try to escape. So Love wants to kill him, obviously, because if he escapes, then he might try to frame Love Quinn with all the murders and all that. So he goes ahead and she goes down to the saw cage and realizes that the black girl and the blonde guy are still there. And how is that interesting, you might say? Well, she basically goes ahead and makes them look out to be worse than she is, and I think that, again, shows that she's very manipulative. Anyways, she invites Joe over for dinner, right? And at this point, they both know each other's end games, right? And Joe's like, okay, how's she going to kill me? Is she going to poison me? Is she going to shoot me? But no, it's a pretty good twist. Anyways, so they talk about, like, oh, you're cheating on me with the black girl and all that. So then the black girl comes over, right? And Love Quinn's about to kill them. And that's not going to happen. Why? Because she doesn't need to. Why would she kill the black chick when Joe already lost to the black chick? So there's no point in killing her and the kid. And they move on. And then there's the part where she poisons Joe with a syringe to paralyze him. And again, that's what she used in the plant. What was in the plant was paralyzing chemicals or whatever, and she put that into the syringe to paralyze him so that she could do whatever she wanted with him, which could include killing him or whatever. So he's basically, lifeless. He can only move his eyes when he's paralyzed, and he is in a useless position until Matthew stumbles up upon him, and then she doesn't notice that. So there's that X factor. He finds Theo in the hospital, of course. Not that that's really relevant. He doesn't even help Joe. He even thinks that Joe's guilty for a murder or something. So that's pretty complicated. Then you move on to another point, which is basically that, the at the vertex that I'm going to mention now, which is the point where, again, she spares the life of the black chick. She doesn't notice that Matthew's in the house. She also doesn't kill Joe right away. Why? Because she has a greater plan going on. We don't know it yet. Anyways, so Joe wakes up from being paralyzed a little bit. So right before she slices his neck or whatever, is about to kill him, while he's paralyzed on the floor, he injects her in the leg with a basically some antidote to the paralyzing thing or whatever. Or no. He gets an antidote for himself before he even gets poisoned because he had a hunch that was going to happen, and which is bullshit. That would never happen in real life. And he stabs her with this poison that kills her almost immediately, within 10 seconds. The last thing she's like, "Oh, Henry's gonna know who you are," and it's like, who fucking cares, man? So, anyways, Joe gets away with killing Love Quinn, of course. He chops his own toes off so that, two of the 10, so that it looks like those are the body parts of him and that she killed him. And for whatever reason, his toes are still alive, but all the rest of the stuff is still the rest of the body got burned in a fire that he set on the house himself. And the toes are so okay. So the way he did it was that he wrote a suicide note or whatever for Love Quinn, and he's like, "Oh, I killed everybody, and I killed Joe, and basically she killed everybody and herself and Joe. I don't know about the baby, and sets the entire house on fire. So there's no evidence, just enough to blame her basically after she's dead. So now there's no scent on Joe. Then Joe goes ahead and drops off the kid in the house of the gay guy and the gay blind guy and the black boyfriend or whatever, or the husband, so-called. And they go ahead and raise the kid, which is terrible that Netflix allows that sort of degeneracy on the internet, kind of normalizing that, gay adoption and all that. It's disgusting. But anyway, I'm going to overlook that for now. And I'm going to mention this other thing. So he leaves the kid with the note and all that. The black chick is a non-factor. That's over. The Carrie, the blonde guy, and the black chick that were stuck in the cage escape, right, with the keys that they found that Love Quinn hid, right? So they get out of the cage. They grift with the book off of what they made, from the cage, which is good for them, I guess. And Theo gets out of the hospital, right, because he survives with the dad, and they make up, right? And then there's the other plot, which is, So this is the end. Joe goes ahead and goes to Paris to find another girl to fall in love with, I guess. So it's a new twist. Interesting ending, okay? And honestly, at this point, I really regret doing this video. It took me way too long to summarize the story. It took me 35 minutes to summarize what happened in the fucking season. And what's embarrassing is that I got the entire thing like jumbled up. Like I remembered a lot less than I thought. But now that I'm at this point, I'm going to cap it off with my thoughts. I would personally rate the season an 8 out of 10. I think a lot of it was good. It was really good, actually. It's Kino. In fact, it is Yoba certified. And, one thing that I will notice and point out is that Joe has submental fat. His jawline is getting fat, and it's annoying. It's because he's getting older, I suppose. And again, I also get annoyed that Love Quinn is not as attractive as Guinevere Beck. That annoys me. The dynamic of having Henry, the newborn infant, is annoying. I mean, he adds nothing into the story. He just complicates it further. I just don't like it. Another factor that's in there is that, what else am I going to put in there? I think they put too much time on Natalie, and, like, for them to just kill her off the first episode is a waste because they just keep talking about her until, like, the 6th episode. Another thing that annoyed me was that they introduced the black girl, Marianne. I feel like she's not even close to the level of both the girls he's been with, or even Candace, which is like saying something. I don't find her attractive personally, and that kind of ruins it for me. Another thing that I'll point out is that obviously there is some woke stuff, right, about the virus, the China flu, a little bit about the election, a little bit about the gay people, normalizing the gay adoption. That's annoying. But by and large, it is still, untouched from that stuff. So it is still like 95% not bullshit woke stuff. So that's okay. It's tolerable. And overall, I find this to be a very fun show. The added nuance of like obsessing over a girl and like killing people and stuff, like I find that interesting, that you don't often see that. And also like how narcissistic both of them are is awesome, and how sociopathic and Machiavellian they are, and how they lie to each other just to give into their own like obsessions and lust and all that. I think that's interesting because most people don't think the way they do, and most people don't understand the way they do. And I think that's an added perspective, and it makes it more interesting. So it's an original concept is what I'm giving it credit for. And it's executed well, actually. So that's good. The acting is also top-notch, in my opinion, especially from Penn Badgley, right? Joe Goldberg, again, acts very well. It's very meta, right? And it's awesome. It's awesome. So, yeah, that is it. I rate it an 8 out of 10. Very good. There is some issues with it, obviously, like the woke stuff. That's a little annoying. My biggest problem with it, honestly, is them adding Marianne, the black chick. Like, she's not attractive. That kills it. The whole point is that he's obsessing over, like, this pure, beautiful woman, young woman. But no, it's an ugly, short-haired, black, single mother. Gross, bro. Icky, icky, icky. But besides that, it's a good show. It's a good show. I can't wait for season 4. I'm hyped. Okay, it's lit. It's lit. What do you guys think below in the comments? Comment down below what you thought, obviously. And, yeah, this came out to be worse than I expected. It's hard to review something this long form. I forgot a lot about the movie. I'm going to be honest. Thank you. Well, movie, sorry, show. Yes, you can call this the Joe Biden review of You, because I forgot a lot about the show already, and I've just finished seeing it like an hour ago. Yup. So, yeah, I'm going to leave you now, and be sure to like the video, because if you don't, I'm going to notice. Psych.